Hello, my name is Ronnie Prock, and I will be doing a mini lecture about Angkor Wat throughout time. In this lecture, we will discuss the story of Angkor Wat and how this temple has transformed from a place of worship where only high price can enter to a tourist location where millions of people can visit today. Angkor Wat has witnessed different moments in history from its first construction to its current role as a tourist destination. Because this space holds memories, we can remember, speak, and heal collectively through arts preserved by diverse identities. Ideas to consider is the relationship between nation states and people. Keep in mind the complexity of identity and history during moments of exchange of powers. Who has access, who's harmed, and how can we heal? In August 1296, Zhou Daguan, a Chinese diplomat, arrived in the capital of the Khmer Empire, Angkor. After staying in Angkor for 11 months, he went home to write a record of Cambodia, which is the only surviving eyewitness of day-to-day life in the Khmer Empire. The Khmer Empire, which covers modern-day Cambodia and Thailand, prospered between the 9th through 14th century. Central power of the Khmer Empire was at the Angkor complex in modern-day Siem Reap. In the Khmer Empire, the society was organized similar to the Hindu caste system, where slaves are at the lowest social level. The people who reside in Angkor Wat during the Khmer Empire is the ruling royal family and not the ones who built Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat was built by the labor from lower class. How is Angkor Wat a contested space with power in moments of the Anthropocene? Angkor Wat is a contested space with power because it takes a lot of labor and resources to build this place. Engineers have constructed water reservoirs to control nature and benefit civilization. After the fall of the Khmer Empire, the man-made space was returned to nature, forming a place where the power of nature and remnants of human civilization coexist. How does power establish lineage? The surveying of Angkor began in 1863 during the French Protectorate of Cambodia. In 1898, a scholarly body was set up by the French colonial government. They began clearing and preserving Angkor to study the history, language, and archaeology of what was known as Indochina at the time, but currently Southeast Asia. Power established lineage by trying to tie themselves to previous symbols of powers, and by claiming that they are the ones to bring the glory of the past back. For instance, during the French Protectorate of Cambodia, the French encouraged a neo-Angkorian identity among Khmer women by claiming that Khmer women had more power during Angkorian times and that the French can help restore Khmer women to their status during that time. This initiative was to distract from the fact that the French status in Indochina is weakening. How does power use past and ruins to pressure the present moment? Angkor Wat has witnessed moments in history during the 1970s. One of them is during the Khmer Rouge genocide from 1975 to 1979. The Khmer Rouge regime sought to assert a Khmer identity that embodied the glory of Angkor civilization. They view Angkor as a symbol of power and of what people working collectively could accomplish. Under the Khmer Rouge regime, the idea of collective labor was raised to the level of sacred. Khmer Rouge used Angkor Wat as a foundation of their collective myth. How do natural and man-made contested spaces witness and hold history, traumas, and memories in the Anthropocene? In the 1990s, Cambodia was placed under temporary UN administration. Angkor Archaeological Park was named as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and plans for conservation were made between the UN and Cambodian authorities. The story of UN doing good work is a complicated story filled with ambiguity and nuances because it is an example of soft power. By naming the capital of the mighty Khmer Empire as a World Heritage Site, the UN know what to do to construct Cambodians' identity and past. Present day, Angkor Wat is a tourist destination. What does tourism mean? In the present moment, tourism offers economical support to this space. Tourism means the growth in economy that contributes to the power of a nation state. At the same time, the tourist industry created a new environmental battleground. Acid rain from air pollution have darkened the stones and led to its decay. Today, millions of tourists climb the enchanting ruins. Tourism helps to sustain and preserve Angkor Wat since scaffolding, wooden steps, and wooden platforms were built to support the weight of millions of tourists. These platforms prevent tourists from climbing onto the structures, but may affect the artistic and ancient appeal of the temples. Therefore, the relationship between tourism and the preservation of culture is a dependent one that both benefits and destroys. Who has access to this space and how is this space used? The privilege has access. Before, the privilege was the royal family and priests. Later, they were the French scholars, the UN, and the government. Nowadays, they are the tourists with a foreign passport and money to buy spirituality. The story of tourism extends to locals, including monks. Some monks are seated at various places and will recite Buddhist prayers and bless with holy water for payment. The act of giving blessings is no longer purely spiritual. The rise of tourism and influx in foreign currency has transformed the temple's role from a place of spirituality to a means of generating income. The tourists who come might not know the history of Angkor Wat or what Angkor Wat means to Khmer people. 30 tons of garbage is cleaned up from Angkor Wat daily. Elders from nearby villages remember the temples from their childhood as a playground. Cows and buffaloes would graze the weeds in empty ruins. Today, villagers make a living by selling fruit and noodles to tourists and collecting garbage left behind. What does the existence of the Angkor Wat ruins mean? Angkor Wat is a symbol of religion, history, and economy, which are factors that contribute to the power of a nation state. This temple has served as a witness in times of glory, trauma, and healing for Cambodian people. Angkor Wat is a space where various powers have established lineage and their version of the Khmer identity. Cambodia has a rich culture spanning over thousands of years of history. Cambodia has many identities because people from diverse backgrounds reside in our nation and have contributed to the culture of Cambodia with their own experiences. In the walls of Angkor Wat, there are about 2,000 Apsara sculptures. Apsaras are female spirits of the clouds and waters. In Hindu and Buddhist culture, the celestial dancers of Angkor Wat Temple performed sacred rituals to bring prosperity to the land. More than 1,000 years ago, Cambodian classical dance established a bridge between the spiritual and natural world. Our movements bend in curves, similar to a snake, which ties back to the belief system of animism before Cambodia had major religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. Our hands are bent in various stages of growth, such as planting, growing, young leaves, flowering, and ripe fruit. My interpretation of the Apsara dance lyrics is a compromise between sharing Khmer culture through tourism, such as giving the flower garlands, while preserving the charms of the villages near Angkor Wat from being affected by the tourist industry, which is by keeping them close, the flower garlands close. What does it mean for people to move through space? Dancers who perform Khmer classical dances are in different locations around the globe and have diverse backgrounds, identities, and experiences. Dancers in the diaspora, such as myself, would not be able to perform this dance if surviving artists from the Khmer Rouge genocide and Khmer refugee or immigrants did not continue to spread this art as they move. People move through space to heal. Before presenting the Apsara dance, I will quote from Out, a Cambodian American dancer who started the first gay classical Khmer dance company in Cambodia. A garden with only one type of flower is no good. This is a reminder that our strength, growth, revival, and very existence lie in diversity. It is, however, a message of courage as well, for a flower does not ask for anyone's permission to bloom. It was born to offer itself to the world. Fearless love is its nature. Thank you.